As you can see, we're aiming to add some weight down low to this Element Enduro Builders kit, and that's what most of these parts will do. Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC, and welcome to the next part of my Element Enduro Builders kit build series. In this part of the build series, I will be adding upgrades from SSD RC. Some of the upgrades that I'll be adding are the brass diff cover for the front axle. I'll be adding Brasslink mounts for both the front and rear. I'll be adding aluminum C hubs for the front axle, and also be adding brass knuckles for the front axle. And I'll put a link to all of these parts in the description below. As you can see, we're aiming to add some weight down low to this Element Enduro Builders kit, and that's what most of these parts will achieve. Now we'll go ahead and start off with some of the easier parts, which would be the Brasslink mounts and the diff cover, and we will save the C hubs and brass knuckles for later. Here's a closer look at what the brass diff cover comes with. Alright, now we're ready to put the SSD brass diff cover on. Now I'm going to remove these links here, just so I can tilt the axle up to get at those screw holes a little bit easier. I'm going to be changing these link mounts anyway, so it'd be a good time to do this. Okay, that takes care of the front brass diff cover. This diff cover will add 38 grams of weight. So there's weight added there. And we'll move on to the Brasslink mounts. Here's a look at the Brasslink mounts. They come in pairs, so each set has 2 link mounts. I have 2 sets here. Each link mount weighs 11 grams, so you'll have a total of 22 grams added to each axle. We'll go ahead and start with the front axle first. You saw me already remove the lower link at the front here, so we'll go ahead and remove the link mount as well. Alright, I might have to go back and thread lock those, but for right now I'm not going to, because I will be removing these parts again later on to do something else. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and finish this up. Alright, we're done with the front axle. We just added 22 grams of weight via these link mounts, and we'll go ahead and add some to the rear. Alright, so now we've added 22 more grams of weight to the rear via these Brasslink mounts. Now we can go ahead and move on to the C hubs and knuckles on the front axle. Now here's a look at what comes with the aluminum C hubs. And here's what comes with the brass knuckles. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is remove the stock knuckles, and then we'll get around to removing the C hubs. Actually, I'm going to remove the axes first. Right, I'm going to want to put the one with the panhard mount on. And just gotta make sure that you line up the C hub with the marker. Alright, when putting the C hub on, you'll want to make sure that it's lined up with the other one, the stock one, at the same angle. Okay, with the C hubs on, you want to use that grub screw to make sure that it's locked in place. And the grub screw goes right in front here. And you don't want to over tighten it, you just want to tighten it enough so that it hits the stock axle tube in that groove. Alright, so just finger tight, and then you're going to want to tighten up the C-hub onto the axle. Alright, now since this is the panhard side, you'll also want to use the shorter screw, or the shortest screw that comes with the C-hubs, to attach that panhard link. Okay, so that is one C-hub attached, and we'll go ahead and work on the knuckle for this side, and then we'll move on to the other side. So for the knuckle, you're going to want to remove the parts from the stock knuckle, like that, and pretty much it comes with a bearing for the outside here, but you want to reuse this bearing on the inside of the stock one. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll first remove this top here. Now SSD does provide you with the screws, but you can reuse some of these stock screws as well. But I am going to go ahead and just use the SSD screws just for the sake of it. Alright, so as I said earlier, you're going to have to reuse this particular bearing. So you're going to have to find out how to get it out. Let me go ahead and do that and continue with the video. Alright, so I've got this bearing out. I'm going to take it and put it into the new knuckle. Now the reason you have to use SSD's outer bearing is because it's larger than the stock one, which is better. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do after getting the bearing in, you want to put this on, and you want to use the shorter screws. The knuckles come with, I think they're M3 by 8s and M3 by 10s, or is it M3 by 10s and M3 by 12s? Either way, the shorter one goes on the bracket for the knuckle, and the longer one is used for the joint that connects to the C-hub. Alright, so we've completed one side, and we'll go ahead and finish up the other side. Yeah, take that first. Alright, we're ready to put the SSDC hubs on. And once again, you're going to have to make sure you line it up correctly. You can tell there's a line right here that should line up with this gap, and that's when you know you've done it correctly. Oops. Don't forget about the grub screw to make sure that this does not slide out. And you don't want to over tighten it, just tighten it enough so it hits the axle tube and that it won't slide out. I'll go ahead and take care of the brass knuckle. I think I'm going to want to thread lock this, but let me go ahead and attach the pin and hex pin so that these don't fall out. Alright. Use a little thread lock. Don't want to over tighten these because you'll bind your steering. Looks like I might be a little bit tight on the bottom. You don't want to over tighten them, you just want to make sure that they're loose like this. This one, for some reason, seems to be kind of tight. It's a little better, but still not perfect. Alright, I've added thread lock to these knuckles and I didn't over tighten them, so they still have freedom of movement. Right there, they're not binding. And now we need to add back this behind the axle steering link. So go ahead and do that now. Just as an added note, you'll notice that I mounted this behind the axle steering link incorrectly here. This is supposed to go underneath that bar. Just happen to miss it, we'll go ahead and correct it now. Right. Now, with the steering link correctly installed, movement should be a lot better, and the steering should line up correctly. Alright, so here we can take a look at all the upgrades that we've added from SSD. We've got the brass diff cover right here. We've got the aluminum C hubs and brass knuckles right there. And we've got the Brasslink Mounts front and rear right here. And that about does it for this part of the upgrades for the build series. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for the next part of my Element Enduro Builders Kit build series. Thanks for watching.